Even down on the benches there were new men at the tables. Jory was dead, and Fat Tom and Porther, Allen, Desmond, Hullen, who had been Master of Horse, Harwin, his son, all those had gone south with his father, even Septimore Dane and Vayon Paul. The rest had ridden to war with Rob, and might soon be dead as well, for all Bran knew. He liked Hayhead and Poxy Tin and Skitterick and the other new men well enough, but he missed his old friends. He looked up and down the benches at all the faces happy and sad, and wondered who would be missing next year and the year after. He might have cried then, but he couldn't. He was the Stark in Winterfell, his father's son and his brother's heir, and almost a man grown. At the foot of the hall the doors opened, and a gust of cold air made the torches flame brighter for an instant. Albany led two new guests into the feast. "The Lady Maera of House Reed," the rotund guardsman bellowed over the clamour, "with her brother Jojen of Greywater Watch." Men looked up from their cups and trenches to eye the newcomers. Bran heard little Walder mutter, "Frog-eaters," to big Walter beside him. Sir Roderick climbed to his feet. "Be welcome, friends, and share this harvest with us." Serving men hurried to lengthen the table on the dais, fetching trestles and chairs. "Who are they?" Rickon asked. "Mudmen," answered little Walder disdainfully. "They're thieves and cravens, and they have green teeth from eating frogs." Maester Luwin crouched beside Bran's seat to whisper counsel in his ear. "You must greet these ones warmly. I had not thought to see them here, but you know who they are?" Bran nodded. "Crannog men from the Neck." "Howland Reed was a great friend to your father," Sir Roderick told him. "These two are his, it would seem." As the newcomers walked the length of the hall, Bran saw that one was indeed a girl, though he would never have known it by her dress. She wore lambskin breeches soft with long use, and a sleeveless jerkin armoured in bronze scales. Though near Rob's age, she was slim as a boy, with long brown hair knotted behind her head, and only the barest suggestion of breasts. A woven net hung from one slim hip, a long bronze knife from the other. Under her arm she carried an old iron Greth-helm spotted with rust. A frog spear and a round leathern shield were strapped to her back. Her brother was several years younger and bore no weapons. All his garb was green, even to the leather of his boots, and when he came closer, Bran saw that his eyes were the colour of moss, though his teeth looked as white as anyone else's. Both Reeds were slight of build, slender as swords and scarcely taller than Bran himself. They went to one knee before the dais. "My Lord of Stark," the girl said, "the years have passed in their hundreds and their thousands since my folk first swore their fealty to the king in the north. My Lord Father has sent us here to say the words again, for all our people." "She is looking at me," Bran realised. He had to make some answer. "My brother Rob is fighting in the south," he said, "but you can say your words to me, if you like." "To Winterfell we pledge the faith of Greywater," they said together. "Hearth and heart and harvest we yield up to you, my lord. Our swords and spears and arrows are yours to command. Grant mercy to our weak, help to our helpless, and justice to all, and we shall never fail you." "I swear it by earth and water," said the boy in green. "I swear it by bronze and iron," his sister said. "We swear it by ice and fire," they finished together. Bran groped for words. Was he supposed to swear something back to them? Their oath was not one he had been taught. "May your winters be short and your summers bountiful," he said. That was usually a good thing to say. "Rise. I'm Brandon Stark." The girl Maera got to her feet and helped her brother up. The boy stared at Bran all the while. "We bring you gifts of fish and frog and fowl," he said. "I thank you." Bran wondered if he would have to eat a frog to be polite. "I offer you meat and mead of Winterfell." He tried to recall all he had been taught of the Crannog men, who dwelt amongst the boys of the Neck and seldom left their wetlands. They were poor folk, fishers and frog hunters who lived in houses of thatch and woven reeds on floated islands hidden in the deeps of the swamp. It was said that they were cowardly people who fought with poisoned weapons and preferred to hide from foes rather than face them in open battle. And yet Howland Reed had been one of the father's staunchest companions during the War of King Robert's Crown, before Bran was born. The boy Jojen looked about the hall curiously as he took his seat. "Where are the dire wolves?" "In the Godswood," Rickon answered. "Shaggy was bad." "My brother would like to see them," the girl said. Little Walder spoke up loudly. "He'd best watch them. They don't see him, or they'll take a bite out of him." "They won't bite if I'm here." Bran was pleased that they wanted away. He was curious about the mudmen. He could not recall ever seeing one before. His father had sent letters to the Lord of Greywater over the years, but none of the Crannogmen had ever called at Winterfell. He would have liked to talk to them more, but the great hall was so noisy that it was hard to hear anyone who wasn't right beside you. Sir Roderick was right beside Bran. "Do they truly eat frogs?" he asked the old knight. "Aye," Sir Roderick said. "Frogs and fish and lizard lions, and all manner of birds." Maybe they don't have sheep and cattle, Bran thought. He commanded the serving-men to bring them mutton chops and a slice of the aurochs and fill their trenchers with beef and barley stew. They seemed to like that well enough. The girl caught him staring at her and smiled. Bran blushed and looked away. Much later, after all the sweets had been served and washed down with gallons of summer wine, the food was cleared and the tables shoved back against the walls to make room for the dancing. The music grew wilder, the drummers joined in, and Hodor Umber brought forth a huge carved Warthen banded in silver. When the singer reached the part, the night that ended, where the Night's Watch rode forth to meet the others in the battle for the dawn, he blew a blast that set all the dogs to barking. 2 Glover men began a spinning skirl on bladder and wood harp. Mors Umber was the first on his feet. He seized a passing service girl by the arm, knocking the flagon of wine out of her hands to shatter on the floor. Amidst the rushes and bones and bits of bread that livered to stone, he whirled and spun her and tossed her in the air. The girl squealed with laughter and turned red as her skirts swirled and lifted. Others soon joined in. Hodor began to dance all by himself, while Lord Wyman asked little Beth Castle to partner him. For all his size, he moved gracefully. When he tired, Clay Kerwin danced with the child in his seat. Sir Roderick approached Lady Hornwood, but she made her excuse and took leave. Bran watched long enough to be polite, and then had Hodor summoned. He was hot and tired, flushed from wine, and the dancing made him sad. It was something else he could never do. "I want to go." "Hodor!" Hodor shouted back, kneeling. Maester Luwin and Hayhead lifted him in his basket. The folk of Winterfell had seen this sight 100 times, but doubtless it looked queer to the guests, some of whom were more curious than polite. Bran felt the stares.